Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're doing something kind of different, but absolutely fascinating. We're going to dive headfirst into a raw, unfiltered snapshot of the Market Views homepage. Now, if you know this space, you know this is a premier portal for professional investors. We're literally peeling back the layers to see exactly what's driving the global financial conversation today. We're looking at the exact same data the pros are consuming right this second.
Right off the bat, let's anchor ourselves with the site's own disclaimer. Past performance is not a guide to future performance. It's simple, right? But it's such a crucial baseline reminder. Navigating this fast-paced financial world requires constant vigilance. You can't just coast on yesterday's assumptions. We've got to actively parse today's raw data. To make sense of this giant wall of trending links, we've broken things down into four main pillars. 1. Big business and economy. 2. Major policy shifts. 3. Global and domestic flashpoints, and 4. Science, culture, and oddities. This is going to help us separate the heavy, market-moving signals from all that entertaining noise.
All right, diving right into our first pillar, big business and economy, focusing on the major market movers. So, as we navigate the site, one of their Ask Stocks AI prompts really caught my eye. It asks, what is the impact of the Dell donation on the US economy? And man, this highlights a massive philanthropic move that's just totally dominating the dashboard today. The sheer scale here is just staggering. We're talking $6.25 billion from Michael and Susan Dell. The goal? To encourage families to claim what are being called Trump accounts for millions of American kids. I mean, that is a colossal chunk of change injected directly into a domestic initiative. You can bet investors are scrambling to calculate the downstream economic ripple effects of that kind of localized capital. Moving on, the AI also points us toward retail strategies, specifically asking, how does T-Mobile's Black Friday promotion affect the wireless industry? Trending headlines are calling this T-Mobile's most aggressive Black Friday promo to date. It's a huge signal that the scrap for consumer dollars is really heating up, which is absolutely critical data if you're tracking telecom stocks or just general retail spending patterns.
This setup perfectly illustrates the sort of split-screen reality of today's market. On one side, you've got these massive corporate movers, Dell's billions, T-Mobile's huge promo, and an Airbus A320 major recall. But then, right next to it, you have these ground-level economic indicators. We're seeing talk of a K-shaped economy where sectors recover unevenly, widespread frustration with sky-high car prices, and ads about over $70 billion in unclaimed U.S. funds. It's wild. Massive top-level capital moves clashing right up against everyday consumer anxieties.
Of course, markets don't exist in a vacuum. Which brings us to pillar number 2, major policy shifts and trending updates.
Taking a completely neutral look at the platform's top headlines, we're seeing some really sweeping administrative shifts that investors are tracking literally by the minute. These include pausing migration from what the headlines term third world countries, re-examining green cards from 19 different nations, and canceling Biden executive orders that were signed with an auto pen. Plus, there are legal updates breaking, like a U.S. appeals court ruling disqualifying former Trump lawyer Alina Habba as a New Jersey prosecutor and U.S. attorney. No matter your politics, these are huge, consequential changes that global markets have to digest and price in super fast.
The AI tools are also pushing users to weigh the geopolitical impact of another huge move. What are the implications of Trump's airspace closure in Venezuela? The headlines are reporting that the airspace above and around Venezuela is to be completely closed. That is a massive logistical and diplomatic maneuver, and it carries immediate weight for global shipping, aviation, and energy markets.
Zooming out on the geopolitical map, related headlines are noting that major global players, specifically Russia and China, are visibly staying out of this specific clash. What does that matter to us? Well, it hints at a potential shift in traditional alliances, or maybe just a strategic wait-and-see approach from the superpowers. Believe me, commodity traders and defense investors are watching this dynamic like hawks. Beyond the policy realm, the dashboard is just flooded with urgent incidents. Let's look at our third pillar. Global and domestic flashpoints, covering crises and disruptions.
This breakdown really captures the heavy news of the day, and honestly, it's been a chaotic 24 hours. Domestically, investors are processing a tragic shooting at a Stockton, California family gathering where 14 people were shot and 4 lost their lives. On the global front, the disruptions are severe. There's a horrific tower fire in Hong Kong that claimed 44 lives, and a critical incident where the CPC reported oil exports were halted after equipment was heavily damaged by drone strikes. That drone damage, that is a massive flashpoint for global energy supply chains. There's also a major cluster of headlines focusing intensely on an ambush in Washington, D.C. Users are tracking every detail here. An Afghan national suspect is in custody after 2 National Guard members were shot near the White House. The reports say the suspect struggled with dark isolation, and the FBI is actively probing for motives. We're even seeing training articles breaking down 5 things to know about the gun used. It's just a very sobering reminder of the physical security risks that can hit the nation's capital out of nowhere.
And we're seeing some real tension in the trending links about a U.S. military strike in the Caribbean. On one hand, you have the military action itself. The U.S. carried out a second strike, killing survivors on a suspected drug boat. And the White House is insisting the attack was lawful. But right alongside that, there's intense legal and ethical scrutiny. Experts are breaking down international laws on killing boat strike survivors, and opinion pieces are fiercely debating the ethics of shooting the wounded. It's fascinating how a single tactical event instantly transforms into this complex, multifaceted debate right there on an investor's screen.
Okay, after that wall of really heavy news, we need to take a breath and look at the lighter, weirder content breaking through the algorithm. Pillar 4, Science, Culture, and Oddities. Basically, the noise.
This right here perfectly captures the bizarre dual nature of financial news portals. You've got the signal, the billions of dollars moving markets, the sweeping policy crackdowns, the global fires. And literally sharing the exact same screen real estate, you have the noise. We're talking stunningly well-preserved Neanderthal skulls, 5,200-year-old dugout canoes unearthed in Wisconsin, and Ethiopian volcanoes erupting for the first time in 12,000 years. It is wild to think about a pro-investor processing ancient archaeology in the exact same breath as global oil disruptions. And honestly, it gets even more eclectic. Look at these trending lifestyle clicks. There's a review calling Zootopia 2 a fable of a poisoned legacy. Listicles ranking 40 iconic couples from the 70s, surprising rules for Price is Right contestants, and rare vintage photos of Lucille Ball on celebrity beaches. It just goes to show, even the most focused suit-and-tie investors are clicking on nostalgia and pop culture trivia right in between analyzing K-shaped economies. Human curiosity, you know, it always finds a way to break through.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to circle back to the site's fundamental disclaimer. This does not constitute financial or investment advice and should not be relied upon. It's the perfect bookend for us, a solid reminder that raw data, trending headlines, and algorithm-fed news are really just the starting point of understanding. They're not the finish line. So, given this absolute avalanche of information we've just unpacked together, everything from billion-dollar tech donations to vintage celebrity beach photos, I want to leave you with this question to chew on regarding your own media diet. In a world of 24-hour news, how do you filter the signal from the noise? Seriously, think about how you organize your own intellectual intake. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking those smart questions.